Thieves will steal our cars, our valuables, just about anything they can get their hands on. To cut down on crime and antisocial behaviour, the police and other agencies are using new tactics and technology where the bad guys actually get caught in the act.
Brilliant footage. Police officers love CCTV.
Local councils, shops and businesses are laying some traps of their own.
As soon as he walked into the picture, I knew who he was.
And the general public too can help unsuspecting crooks get their comeuppance.
We definitely needed proof.
You're not going to get away with it, you might as well pack up.
It made me swallow with pride, it was brilliant.
So, anyone who's up to no good had better think twice. They might just get caught red-handed. Today, a shocking attack on a 60-year-old cashier.
She's actually doing the scene out of Psycho, where she's stabbing the door with a knife.
He's attacked by a woman wielding a knife, but the courageous man locks the door to stop her getting out. Also today, someone's had their fingers in the till at this pub, but who is it?
I bet all eyes were actually on me.
Is one of their friends and workmates a thief? A tricky situation at Tricky's bar. And it's not Bridezilla, this is a bloke. He's caught on camera nicking wedding dresses, but is about to have his big day ruined. Ashford in Kent. We're watching the CCTV camera footage from inside a 24-hour convenience store. It's nearly 5 AM and Michael is manning the shop on his own. As a 60-year-old grandfather, he likes the night shifts because they're usually quiet. But this night is about to become one he'll never, ever forget. A young woman in a hoodie enters the shop. Then suddenly, she turns on Michael, demanding money from the till, and she's armed with a carving knife. But if she expects to frighten Michael, she's very much mistaken.
I went to her, I'm not going to give you anything, you're not going to get away with it, you might as well just stop now and pack up.
A vicious struggle starts, and it's the beginning of a bizarre series of events which will see Michael locked in with a violent and unpredictable woman who swings between attacking him and tending to his wounds.
1 minute she's standing there trying to kill me, and the next minute she's trying to mop up the blood.
Michael's locked in the shop with a Jekyll and Hyde attacker.
I can tell just from seeing Michael, he's been subject to something very horrific.
This local store and petrol station is on one of the main roads that runs through Ashford. Michael has worked here for the last 6 years, and with an ever-expanding family, he has no intention of slowing down.
I'm 60 years of age and my youngest son has just informed me that my 10th grandchild is on the way, which I wasn't very pleased about, especially with the Christmas and everything else. Yeah, it does come expensive, but no, I love kids.
The shop is open 24 hours a day and Michael often works the night shift on his own. He has never had any serious trouble.
I wouldn't say that I would be apprehensive or worried about the next person that walks through the shop would be an armed robber or... No, I don't even think about that.
Generally speaking, Ashford's a pretty safe place to be.
Like every town, it gets its excitement from time to time, but we don't often have as serious a crime as an armed robbery.
But as we're about to see, that's exactly what happens in Michael's shop. He's nearing the end of his shift at 5 AM and is waiting for the morning's milk delivery when the woman enters.
Well, first impression was she was just another customer. She was wearing stuff that you would expect, you know, because the weather was still pretty cold, scarf around the neck, hoodie.
But she is not just another customer.
She asked me to give her it, and I said, give you what? And she went, give me the money.
And to back up her demand, from her pocket, she pulls out a 9-inch carving knife.
I realised that she was being serious.
Although shaken, Michael keeps a cool head and at first tries to reason with the woman.
Don't be silly, love, I said. You're on CCTV camera. I'm not going to give you anything. You're not going to get away with it. You might as well just stop now and pack up.
She ignores his advice and lunges at him with the knife blade. But she gets a surprise herself because Michael grabs her wrist.
The company that I work for, their attitude is if someone draws a knife, You stand back, give them what they want. That's all well and good, but they're not drawing a knife on the company, they're actually drawing a knife on me.
The woman starts to jab more wildly at him, but Michael dodges the blade and stands firm.
I think at one point she actually managed to make contact, but didn't actually pierce the skin.
He presses a panic alarm, which alerts police to the robbery, and squad cars are dispatched by Ashford police. But the woman's getting more agitated. The high counter is stopping her from getting to Michael, so she tries to smash through a security door to his left.
I actually managed to get my foot against the door to stop her from coming in. She's actually doing the scene out of Psycho, where she's stabbing the door with a knife because she can't get in.
It's a terrifying moment, but Michael manages to block the door and dial 999.
And I left the phone ringing so that whoever picked the phone up could actually hear what was going on.
At the other end, the emergency call taker hears there's a knife involved and updates the police officers who are already rushing to the scene.
When you are informed that there's potentially a knife involved, the adrenaline does kick in.
But then suddenly, the woman seems to give up and heads for the exit. And this is when Michael does something extraordinarily brave. Seeing there are some people outside the door, he's afraid they'll be in danger. And he presses a hidden button that locks the door.
And she was threatening them through the door. If I'd have let her go, she might, she could have gone and done anything.
A courageous action to protect other people, but it means he's trapped inside with a violent attacker. And now she really wants to get at Michael. She tries to climb the counter, but this gives him a slim chance to disarm her.
She put the knife in the hand on the counter to climb. I proceeded to grab her wrist with my left arm.
As they frantically tussle, the woman grabs at Michael's neck. Then she violently yanks the blade free, leaving a large cut on his hand. But what happens next is truly astonishing. After even more stabbing, suddenly she stops.
When she realised that she'd cut me, that's when she had a change of heart.
The woman even lays down her knife and goes off to get a can of drink. Michael moves the knife away.
There's quite a bit of blood on the floor, and I think that in itself was enough to convince her that, it might be bad.
The woman fetches some kitchen roll to help Michael nurse the wound.
1 minute she's standing there trying to kill me, and the next minute she's trying to help me rather than hurt me.
But sadly, this show of concern is short-lived. The woman gets fired up again when she sees more people outside the door. She's realised there's no escape. But now she picks up a glass bottle to use as a weapon.
She was walking up and down the shop, threatening the people outside with a broken bottle.
Later, the police race to the shop after Michael's alert.
You could see that she had a weapon, and from her demeanour, she would be ready to use it on us.
They have riot equipment and pepper spray. The police somehow have to get in to disarm this violent woman without Michael or anyone else, including themselves, getting hurt. Now, this isn't a ghost. It's a chap in Swansea who hasn't a ghost of a chance of getting away with a crime of fashion. This petty thief with a pile of wedding gowns has just kicked in the back door of a bridal shop and snatched a number of dresses. Maybe he has 7 brothers who are marrying 7 brides. Whatever the reason, I'm sure he'd like to draw a veil over this particular CCTV camera. These pictures help police to track the man down, and they raid his home the next day. They find the dresses stuffed unceremoniously into an understairs cupboard. They charge him with illegally attempting to have and to hold them. He is sentenced to 9.5 months in prison for this and one other offence. Hopefully, from now on, he'll learn to love, honour and obey the law. Next, from weddings to funerals, and the last place you'd expect to find crime would be a crematorium, which makes the actions of these heartless thieves even more shocking. Liverpool. Stealing from funerals has started to become a problem.
You'd like to think that security was something that you could have quite low down on the agenda for cemeteries.
And security is the last thing Chris thought he'd need at his mum's funeral.
We went to put it in the hearse and then I noticed two people that were there had no connection with the family.
And the mystery guests are not there to pay their respects. Springwood Crematorium is part of Allerton Cemetery in Liverpool, one of the largest cemeteries in the UK. Chris Jennett regularly visits his family's memorial. It's where his grandfather was buried, but also where he comes to remember his sister, his dad, and most recently his mum.
You have one mum, don't you? So she was great. Done anything for you, you know.
Mum Bridget was adored by her 5 children and many grandchildren. When she succumbed to pneumonia at the age of 83, the family were grief-stricken.
It was a shock for everyone because she was a character. She was some of the one-liners she used to come out with, you know. We were a very, very close family, like.
The family arranged the funeral. Some very special blue and white flower arrangements are ordered in her memory.
It's the last thing you've bought for your mum, so whatever the expense was, it doesn't matter, does it, really?
It's agreed that Bridget should be cremated at Springwood Crematorium that's run by Liverpool City Council.
It's the busiest of our 2 crematoria in Liverpool. It's an area of peace and tranquility and remembrance for many families.
Dale Willis has helped run all the city's cemeteries for 14 years, and that includes their protection.
We do have security cemeteries. We have all the cemeteries locked at night and opened the next morning. But we do have pockets of the antisocial behaviour.
And Dale begins to notice a very upsetting trend.
We had a couple of reports of flowers going missing, and I am shocked that people would do something that would impact on a family in that way.
After talking it over with local funeral directors, Dale decides to take action.
And there's only one way that we can, resolve that, is to install the CCTV equipment.
2 cameras are installed and signs are put up to make the public aware. A few weeks later, it's the day of Bridget's funeral. A couple of onlookers catch Chris's eye as the coffin starts the journey to the crematorium.
We went to put it in the hearse, and then I noticed 2 people that were there had no connection with the family. Thought nothing about it, and then the funeral got on the way, had a great service, and then we come to Springwood Crematorium. The flowers are put in a place just outside the crem.
Following the ceremony, the family return home. They plan to move the flowers to the memorial the next day.
I got the phone call then saying that the flowers are being pinched.
Chris is appalled by the news.
It's absolutely disgusting, isn't it? You know, to think someone could do that, such a low thing, like.
It actually gives another dimension of stress and anxiety for the family, it's already a very difficult time.
Staff at the crematorium check the CCTV recording, and this is what they see. It's early evening on the same day as the funeral. A car pulls up. 2 women get out. One opens the boot while the other makes a beeline for the family's large blue and white flowers. It seems as if they knew the tributes to target. The crematorium hands the footage over to Merseyside police, who identify the women from their car registration. They are arrested. Chris gets to see the footage and thinks he's seen the women before.
I realised then that they were on the corner of the street as we were bringing my mum out, you know.
During the women's arrests, the police discover flower arranging paraphernalia in one of their homes. It seems they were using Bridget's flowers to sell on as new tributes.
Words can't describe what they've done.
But there's a full description of what they've done in court. The woman who picked up the flowers has previous convictions and is sentenced to 10 weeks in prison. Her accomplice is given 8 weeks, suspended for 12 months. Both have to pay compensation.
It was pleasing that, certainly for the family, justice had been done. We are in a position now where we're not having any thefts, and I think that can only be seen as a positive thing.
My mum will be made up that they've been caught. Hopefully now she's looking down and saying, well done.
Coming up, a disappearing act at Tricky's bar when cash vanishes.
We was all really gobsmacked.
It's sleight of hand by a trusted barmaid.
You just couldn't believe it. Everybody was shocked.
Back to Ashford in Kent, where in the early hours of the morning, a violent attempted robbery has been taking place in a shop. This young woman is wielding a large carving knife with which she's been attacking Michael, the 60-year-old cashier. Now she's using a wine bottle as a weapon. Michael has bravely locked her inside the shop alone with him to protect the people outside, and he's trying to calm her down.
I was saying to her, I've locked the doors, they can't get in, and I'm not opening the doors to let you out because you might have a go at them. My view was that I was protecting them as well as herself by keeping the situation contained in the shop.
But the woman's having none of it and continues her threats. Outside, the police have now arrived, much to Michael's relief.
When the police turned up, I was relieved to see that the end was in sight.
But the woman is not about to give up. Now she also threatens PC's Ryan Duffy and Jason Gisby, who are outside the door.
The first thing that I see is this woman with a wine bottle in her hands.
She appeared very agitated, very angry.
She smashes it against the front door.
And from her demeanour, she would be ready to use it on us.
But it's Michael they fear for most.
So we know Michael. We've chatted to him many times in the past. He appeared very distressed, very shaken up.
There was a risk that she would return to him. It was right to get in there as quick as possible.
Throughout his ordeal, Michael has kept a cool head, and now he signals another way in to Ryan and Jason.
If they went round to the other door at the back of the shop, they can get in that way, because I can open that door without her being able to get out.
The police get the message and equip themselves to arrest the violent woman without injury to Michael or the woman or themselves. Ryan gets a riot shield, while Jason arms himself with pepper spray. While other officers distract the woman at the front of the store, Michael opens the back door by pressing a button. Ryan and Jason enter. Once inside, they split up. Jason calls out to the woman to draw her over, but she's in no mood to come quietly and walks towards him with the broken bottle. Ryan steps out from an aisle behind her as she approaches Jason.
She's jabbing that broken bottle towards my face. I've instantly pulled my pepper spray and sprayed it towards her face. Ryan's come behind her almost at the same time and he struck her with the shield.
They got her down, but she still struggles.
Just wildly throwing her hand around with this broken bottle.
She finally gives in and they handcuff her. It's a good, safe arrest.
That was it, basically, all over and done with. They took over and I could relax.
While an officer takes a look at Michael's cut hand, the police help the woman recover from the pepper spray.
She was polite, she spoke to us. When a person has been exposed to pepper spray, we have a duty of care to them and aftercare, so we usually sit them still, advise them not to rub their eyes and give them other advice.
The woman is taken to the police station and Michael goes home. He turns up for work again the very next day, but he soon realises that the robbery has affected him more than he thinks.
I couldn't stop crying, so they sent me home. I think it was just shock, basically. Over the next 2 days, I went and saw a therapist for a few weeks to sort of like get it out of my system. Now I don't think nothing of it. You know, it happened, it's gone and done, and life goes on.
It's a reminder of exactly how much these crimes affect the innocent people involved. In court, she pleads guilty and is sentenced to 6 years in prison. Michael is given a special commendation for his courage and determination to stop the violent woman and contain her safely until the police could arrive. He receives a certificate of bravery from the High Sheriff's Special Cash Award.
I suppose to get any reward is a nice feeling. But to get one that you can actually display on the wall and say to your children and your grandchildren, that's your granddad, you know, that's got to be nice. That is nice.
Mercifully, it's very unlikely any of us will ever face an attack like that. Michael bravely took on his attacker, but is that wise to do so if someone's wielding a weapon?
My advice would be to try and back away. Don't try and intervene.
Try and call 999 if at all possible, if it's not going to aggravate the person with the knife.
And you might not be able to talk to us, but we can still listen, we can still hear what's going on, we can figure out who the phone belongs to, and we can start to do the work to locate you and get help.
You need to keep your distance from somebody. We call it the fighting arc, so we put our arms out, and if somebody's at an arm's length from you, then that gives you a fighting chance.
Think calmly and then look for your best escape route if it's safe to do so. If it's not safe to do so and you need to engage in some kind of conversation with that person to keep them calm and de-escalate any kind of threat until the police arrive, then do that.
We'd all like to think we could trust the people we work with. After all, we spend a lot of time with them. So what if some money went missing and it could only be someone who was close to us? Accrington, Lancashire. And a tricky issue at a bar called Tricky's.
Totally shocked. In other times I've had pubs in, say, over 30 years. This is the first time anything like that's happened.
Money's been disappearing from this popular local pub, but who's taking it?
I bet all eyes are actually on me.
The owner has a trick up his sleeve, a hidden camera.
Looks like a smoke alarm, the camera's built inside of it so you can't see it.
The camera's there in case of trouble at the bar, not for secretly spying on the people he knows and trusts.
Difficult, very difficult.
Accrington. Famed for its football team and making the hardest building bricks in the world, is also home to Tricky's. It's named after its owner. Well, sort of.
It's Richard, so the nickname for Richard is Dick. Dickie Mint, Tricky Mint, Tricky Dickie, and it fell to Tricky Dickie and stayed like that. So I just shortened it to Tricky. And some call me things I can't say on camera.
After running pubs on and off for 30 years, now at the age of 70, running Tricky's is Richard's dream come true.
From the first time I ever came in, I've always wanted this pub, and I finally did get it.
The bar is a firm local favourite and a fun place to be.
Tricky's is the place where you've got all your regulars. Sunday afternoons is brilliant. In fact, every day is. Love working here. Love working here.
Richard's staff are all local, including 3 young sisters. Some others, like Sharon, have known him for years. It's one big happy family.
He's not a pushover, but he's not strict, and he's, you know, he lets us, as long as we're doing his job.
But even this easygoing and trusting boss had to have security cameras installed when he took the place on.
It's actually part of your licence now to have CCTV and someone that can use it for if there's any incidents.
So far, Richard's never needed to check footage from any of the cameras, including the one in the smoke alarm overlooking the bar.
I even forgot it was there myself.
But one Friday night, that all changes. Richard comes to work to find there's no £20 notes in the till. At first, he's not too worried.
It's been a quiet night, so what? Other nights are good.
But the next Friday isn't any better, so Richard checks the coin drawer to see if any of the 20s have been wrongly put in there. But no, and he's shocked to discover there are coins missing too.
There was £80 missing in pound coins.
He asks Sharon the next day about the missing money, as she works the early evening shift on Fridays.
She said, check under the till. All the money's there, and I'm saying, what money? There's no money there. She said, you're joking, I had a really good night last night, up to 6. There's loads of money there.
But there isn't. Richard can only think the worst. There's a thief about, and it has to be one of the people he trusts like family.
Totally shocked.
The most likely suspects are the Friday staff. That's Sharon and a popular 21-year-old girl who's one of the 3 sisters that worked there.
We've known the family for many years. My stepdaughter is a big friend of her mother's.
I bet all eyes were actually on me. You know, it's horrible.
Richard knows he must check his CCTV footage. But first, he calls the staff together to give the culprit a chance to own up. Sharon gets the wrong end of the stick.
My hand went straight up. I've got a bit of a thing for pepperoni. So I've told him basically, you might see me with a few of them stuffed in my mouth.
No one owns up, so Richard goes off to look at the footage in a room on his own. And this is what he sees. The 21-year-old sister has just taken over the shift from Sharon. She appears to busy herself with the usual barmaid duties, but appearances can be deceiving. Because on a closer look, she also shows some skillful sleight of hand. While customers are lost in conversation, the young barmaid takes 4 bags of £2 coins out of the change drawer and puts them in her handbag.
It's the £80 that was missing when I checked it later on in the night.
But that's just for starters. Half an hour later, the barmaid decides she deserves another tip. She lifts the drawer in the till containing the 20s, grabs a handful and leaves them right next to her handbag. 10 minutes later, she comes back and shoves the note inside the bag.
She's making room in her bag for more money. She's pushing the coins to one side, plus the other notes she's already taken.
After another 45 minutes, the barmaid decides to get another round in. A few more 20s on the house. Rewinding back to her previous Friday shift, he sees the same routine. Pull some pints, pull some more money. Richard decides it's time to call last orders. He tells the rest of the staff who's been stealing.
We was all really gobsmacked.
He just couldn't believe it. Everybody was shocked, and his sisters were just in tears.
He's looked at her as a daughter, you know, he said to us, I look at her like family.
Richard confronts the young barmaid.
Asked her why, she was just crying, as I suppose you would do when you've been found out, saying she was so sorry. When I said, how much have you taken? She said, I don't know. She just spent it. And then she went.
Leaving Richard with a dilemma.
I thought, well, if it's just a few £100, I'm going to ruin this kid's life. So I'm not going to go to the police. But at that point, we didn't know what she'd taken.
Richard becomes less forgiving when he sees the barmaid's attitude on social media sites. He decides it might be better if she learns a lesson.
She was showing off her new dresses and designer gear and bags and shoes, and I just thought, well, she's just taking the mick here.
He takes action.
So I went down to the police station with a formal complaint.
The barmaid pleads guilty. She is sentenced to 12 months community supervision and ordered to pay £500 in compensation. Things are now a lot less tricky at Tricky's.
2 of his sisters work here, they'll continue to work here, there's nothing wrong with the girls. Of the staff I've got at the moment, I think they'll be okay.
Although, just to be on the safe side, Richard has since upgraded his CCTV system.
I tried to think what he's seen on them. I tried to think what he's seen on them cameras with us lot. Because we didn't know half when we were here.
Barmaids beware.
That's it for today. Join us next time. The criminal's red-handed.
What do you think? The BBC Trust would like to know.